Look at the modern industrial landscape, and what do you see? You see endless rows of genetically identical corn and soy, stretching toward a horizon that feels more like a factory floor than a living ecosystem. We've been told for 70 years that this is the pinnacle of human achievement, the only way to keep 8 billion people from starving. We are told that we need massive machines, billions of gallons of synthetic nitrogen, and a chemical cocktail of pesticides just to keep these fragile modern crops alive for a single season. But look closer at the soil beneath those machines. It's gray, it's cracked, and it's essentially dead. We are mining the earth, not farming it. Our food has become a hollow shell of what it once was. Since the 1950s, the nutrient density of our primary grains has plummeted, leaving us in a state of hidden hunger, overfed but malnourished. But what if I told you the answer to this entire crisis wasn't a new laboratory-grown GMO or a more powerful fertilizer? What if the solution was hidden in the pitch-black corners of prehistory, waiting for us to stop looking at the sun and start looking into the shadows? There is a plant that survived the cataclysms of the last ice age without a single drop of human irrigation or a gram of man-made chemicals. It is an agricultural anomaly that breaks every rule of modern biology. Botanists who have studied its rare remains call it the shadow grain, and it is perhaps the most dangerous threat to the global agricultural status quo in existence today. The story of the shadow grain doesn't begin in a high-tech greenhouse, but in a damp cave system in the Pacific Northwest. Less than 2 decades ago, archaeologists uncovering a pre-Clovis settlement stumbled upon something that shouldn't have existed. They found clay jars filled with a dark purplish seed, perfectly preserved by the cool, dry air of the cavern. When they carbon dated these seeds, the results sent shockwaves through the community. These seeds were 13,000 years old, dating back to the Younger Dryas, a period of such extreme climatic instability and rapid cooling that most plant life on the planet was wiped out. Yet, these ancient humans weren't just gathering this grain, they were hoarding it. They had found a way to thrive while the rest of the world froze. What makes the shadow grain a miracle of nature is its relationship with light. All modern crops are light-hungry. They require clear-cut fields and direct, punishing sun to produce calories. But the shadow grain evolved in the deep, primeval forest understory. It utilizes a rare photosynthetic pathway that allows it to harvest the far-red spectrum of light, the dim, filtered energy that passes through the canopy of giant trees. It is a plant that literally grows in the dark. While modern wheat or corn would wither and die in the shade of a forest, this grain reaches its peak maturity in the dimness of a woodlot. The nutritional profile is even more staggering. When independent labs finally got their hands on viable samples grown from these ancient seeds, the data was almost unbelievable. Modern hard red wheat, the backbone of the global diet, averages around 12 to 14% protein. The shadow grain clocks in at a massive 22%. But it's not just the quantity, it's the quality. It contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein source that rivals beef in its biological utility. Because its root system is designed to navigate the complex fungal-rich environment of an undisturbed forest floor, it mines minerals that modern industrial crops can't even reach. It contains 4 times the zinc and 3 times the magnesium of standard USDA-approved grains. So, with a world facing a fertilizer crisis, a water crisis, and a nutritional collapse, why aren't you eating shadow grain bread? Why isn't this the most famous plant on Earth? The answer lies in the cold, hard logic of the trillion-dollar agricultural industry. Modern agriculture is built on a model of total dependence. The industry doesn't make money from the sun or the soil. It makes money from the inputs. They sell the patented seed, then they sell the herbicide that the seed is programmed to resist, then they sell the synthetic nitrogen because the soil has been stripped of its natural life. It is a closed loop of profit designed to keep the farmer dependent on the corporation. The shadow grain destroys that entire business model. It requires no synthetic fertilizer because it has a unique symbiotic relationship with mycorrhizal fungi that allows it to pull nitrogen directly from the air and the soil at rates far exceeding any known legume. It requires no pesticides because its ancient chemical defenses are already tuned to the forest environment. Most importantly, it doesn't need clear-cut land. You can't drive a $500,000 combine harvester through a dense forest. You can't spray 1,000 acres of woods from a crop duster. The shadow grain is the ultimate decentralized crop. It is a plant that belongs to the people, not the conglomerates. When small-scale researchers tried to bring this to the attention of the USDA, they were met with a wall of bureaucratic silence. They were told that the grain had no commercial viability because it didn't fit into the existing infrastructure of silos and processing plants. But commercial viability is just a code word for corporate profitability. The truth is that the shadow grain is a threat to the very foundations of industrial food control. If a family can grow a superfood in their own backyard woodlot with zero chemical inputs and a 70-day growth cycle, the power of the food monopolies evaporates. This isn't just about a plant, it's about the erasure of ancient knowledge. We are told that the Romans and the prehistoric tribes of the Americas were primitive, yet they possessed agricultural secrets that put our fragile systems to shame. They understood the power of polyculture and the importance of working with the architecture of the natural world. The shadow grain is a relic of that lost wisdom, a survivor of the ice that is now being suffocated by the greed of the modern age. But the seed is resilient. Just as it survived the glaciers of the Pleistocene, it is currently surviving in the hands of a quiet, underground movement. Across the world, regenerative farmers and permaculture rebels are sharing these seeds in secret, growing them in the shadows, and proving that the industrial way is not the only way. They are reclaiming the right to a food source that doesn't poison the earth or the body. They are proving that we don't need to destroy the forest to feed the village. We can find our nourishment within the forest itself. The next revolution in human health and food security won't happen in a laboratory. It won't be funded by a billionaire's foundation. It will happen in the dark, damp corners of the earth, where the shadow grain is waiting to be rediscovered. It is a reminder that the earth provides everything we need if we are only willing to look past the bright lights of the industrial machine and into the wisdom of the shadows. The only question remains: are you ready to stop being a consumer of their system and start being a steward of yours? The seeds of the future are already here, hidden in the past, waiting for the light to fade so they can finally grow.